Good. So good afternoon, everybody. This
afternoon.
is Hillary Hyslop for the third time today with the Clewiston Chamber of Commerce. And this afternoon, I am joined with Elaine Wood and Dr. Carroll. Dr. Carroll and Elaine Wood are running for the Hendry County Hospital Board. Is this District 4? Is that correct? The District 4 seat. Yes. Oh, wait. I think we lost Elaine. Hold on. Let me let her back in. Let's see. Yeah. Where'd she go? She's connecting. Ask her to unmute. Miss Wood, if you can hear me, will you unmute? We cannot hear you. We must have lost you. There you are.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
I was like,
sorry
wait, I know she was here.
I know it just dropped. Sorry about that.
That happened to me earlier in the day. It was actually not very fun, but anyway, we won't talk about that. So yes, we're back today for the third and final time. And we are covering the Hendry County Hospital Board seat District 4. And we have Miss Elaine Wood and Dr. Carroll. And we are excited to be here with you guys this afternoon, our viewers. We did do our standard housekeeping items already, just like we have done before. And just a few items for our viewers. We do love to bring these candidate forums to you guys it's something that we really enjoy doing from the Chamber of Commerce. It's something that I am excited to bring to the public. We are not here to sway the public to vote for any one candidate over the other. It is our primary goal to make sure that people are, number one, first and foremost, that people are voting. It's very, very important that our community gets out and votes. It's not even a privilege. It's actually, I believe it to be our obligation, our duty. It's very important that we get out and vote. And number two, that we are casting very informed ballots, that we are casting votes that we're confident in, and, just that you know why you're voting the way you're voting. So with that said, we like to bring our candidates to the public and ask some questions that we feel like are relevant and that the community submits, and see what our candidates have to say, and also gives the public an opportunity to ask questions. So if you're watching today and you have questions for the candidates, drop them in the comment section below. We'll see if they don't get addressed in the questions that we've preset today, or if it's something that one of the candidates wants to go back and answer at a later time, they're welcome to do that. We encourage our candidates to watch the feed and go back at any time and check in and answer those questions whenever they might have some free time. These feeds will stay pinned to the top of the Chamber's Facebook page from now until August 23rd, which is Election Day. So, and as a reminder, this election is happening on in the primary election, but it is not a primary election. This is an open election. So it's not a Republican or a Democratic election. This is open to all parties, So anyway, without further ado, and in the comment section, last housekeeping item, I promise. In the comment section, we do have a couple of rules. We ask that you keep everything clean. We have a zero tolerance policy for like ugly language infractions. We're not going to have, it's a professional page. We're not going to have that. And then also just keep things kind, we can be honest and have good debate and good conversation, and be kind all at the same time. All of those things are possible at once. So that's the way we want to do business around here. So without any further ado, I am going to open the floor to Dr. Carroll first. And Dr. Carroll, in 2 minutes, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us a brief introduction of yourself.
I'll be glad to. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Raymond Leonard Carroll, Jr., and I've lived in Clewiston now for 15 years. For the first 12 years we were here, I worked at the hospital as a general surgeon and operated and met probably 6,000 or 7,000 different people in the community. We moved here, Cindy, my wife, and I moved here from rural Tennessee, and I've been in rural areas most of my surgical career. When I was let go from the hospital, I needed to find another job, and I now work for Sugar Realty as a realtor. And I've met a lot more people that I didn't see in other areas, but I'm really glad to be part of this community. I live here, I work here, and will continue to do that for the rest of my life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Wood, if you would please, in 2 minutes, introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Elaine Wood. Thanks, Hillary, and welcome everyone. I'm a long-term resident of Clewiston. I've been a part of this community for about 40 years. And during that time, I've had an opportunity to visit the hospital as a patient a couple of times. I can tell you that. I graduated from Clewiston High School. I got my undergraduate degree, excuse me, at UCF and my master's at FAU. And I chose to come back to Clewiston, where I grew up, to start my career as an accountant. I'm a CPA. I've worked in public accounting. And for the past 25 years, I've worked at US Sugar, where I currently serve as the CFO. I have experience serving on boards of directors for both nonprofit organizations in our own community and on for-profit companies. I believe in public service, and I've served on the hospital board since 2019, and I'm running to continue the service that I began in 2019 as the hospital board representative for District 4 in our county.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. And so for question number 1, we are going to stick with Elaine, and then Mr. Carroll, or Dr. Carroll, I'm sorry, if you'll, the same question will go straight to you. If you need me to repeat it, I will. I always say this and I end up just repeating the questions anyway, so I'm not going to say it. I always say, like, and for time purposes, I'm just going to say the question one time, but I always say the question again. I don't know why I do that. So Ms. Wood, what do you plan to do during your term on the hospital board authority to help improve care in our community?
Well, Hillary, I believe that the hospital is an important asset to our community, and that's why I'm running. My plans for the next term are to continue the work that I've been doing since 2019. First, I want to maintain budget discipline. We need to spend money in ways that best benefits the taxpayers of our county. And an example of this is we recently expanded the Forbes Family Care Center right here at Clewiston to better serve the patients there. Second, I want to build trust with our community by reaching out to residents to see what their healthcare needs are. As a board member, I've spoken to lots of people in the community about their healthcare needs and really what they think of the hospital. I've been reaching out to people during my tenure and now as I'm seeking re-election. And I'll continue to reach out to see what the needs of our community is and then respond to those needs. And third, I'll hold our administrator and our caregivers accountable. Currently, patients of the hospital are asked to provide feedback when they go to the hospital. So they get a survey and that really tells, it's sort of a report card for the hospital. How are we doing? The results of those are shared with the board. And our board actually follows up on those comments. So to sum it up, I want to improve service, provide better health care, and keep our taxes low. And really, those are my plans for the next term.
Okay. Thank you. And Dr. Carroll, the same question to you. What do you plan to do during your term on the hospital board authority to help improve care in our community?
Thank you. I've been a physician for 55 years. I've been able to work with rural areas in Tennessee. I've been on an HCA board. I've been on a board for a Catholic hospital. I've been on the board for a critical access hospital. And now I want to be on the board here. Imagine that, a doctor running for the Hendry Regional Authority Board. I think, but with my years of experience, the medical knowledge I have, and especially working with the couple of hundred employees at the hospital, I have a real insight into what's going on in our hospital. I also live in the community and have talked to people for 15 years on what's going on at our hospital and what we can do to make things better. And I look forward to serving as a physician on the Hospital Authority Board. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So Dr. Carroll, we'll start with you on this next question. What makes you the best choice for the Hendry County Hospital Authority Board?
You know, I've often said one of my main reasons for running for the hospital board is to help recruit physicians. In my opinion, many of the doctors that work at our hospital don't live in our town. If we don't have an input of being able to talk to people and convince them that the best care should be given locally, and then we can refer people out of the hospital. But if we can get physicians here who will become an active part of our community, who will learn our people and learn our folks who live here, and if we can keep them in our community, I think we can give a higher standard of care in our emergency room and in our clinics and in general surgery. I think that would really be beneficial for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Wood, the same question to you. What makes you the best choice for the Hendry County Hospital Authority Board?
Thanks, Hillary. I believe I am the best choice for the board for several reasons. First, beginning with my current service on the board, I've been there since 2019. I've spent that time getting to know the numbers, the people at the hospital, and the processes at the hospital. So I have a good understanding of all of that. During my service there, I've studied the numbers. I've raised questions to the administrator. I've made suggestions and I've held management accountable, and I've done that along with all of the other board members, and we get along well together in doing that. Also, I believe my background in accounting and my experience as a CFO has been beneficial as a board member. There are no other board members who really have that type of experience. I'm able to understand and ask questions about areas where I have expertise, including budgets, capital projects, short-term financing needs of the hospital, leases, insurance, and IT. And I often make suggestions to hospital management in those areas. And finally, I believe in community service. I've lived here, I'm invested in the community, and this is an unpaid position. It's a position that really is truly community service. I've enjoyed being part of the hospital. I want to continue to be part of the hospital, and I want to continue to serve the taxpayers in that capacity.
Okay, thank you both. Elaine, this question will stick with you. Can you talk about your experience and why voters should choose you for the Hospital Authority Board?
Sure. My education is in accounting. My background is in business. I've been a CPA for over 30 years, and I've been a CFO for about 9 years. I've used my business knowledge and my accounting background in my current role. As a board member for the hospital, in every single meeting I've attended, I've asked a lot of questions, I've participated, I've raised issues. I believe a small rural hospital like ours that depends upon tax revenues to operate needs someone with the skills that I have to ask those tough questions about finances. Not only do I ask tough questions, but I use my knowledge and experience to make suggestions to the hospital management on areas where I have expertise. I also may use my knowledge and experience in finance to serve on the hospital's pension plan committee, where I serve as a fiduciary. So to sum up, I believe my education, background, and knowledge in finance has added value to the hospital and will continue to add value, significant value.
Okay, Dr. Carroll, the same question to you.
You know, when you think about it, it helps as a doctor, and the board is talking about purchasing $1 million CT scanner 64 cut to have a good idea of what's on the market, what that means, and what it means for our citizens in our community. I think that being here, having a general knowledge of other hospitals, bigger, same size, and in between, is very beneficial. I think that we can use that knowledge along with general business principles that most of us know. And I also think that working with the employees at the hospital is really important. I think that probably we saw the height of that when many of our nurses left the area because of pay during the pandemic. We had some loyal people who stayed with us, and we really appreciate that. But I think we have to involve our employees along with the knowledge they have and the knowledge of the physicians in the community themselves.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Carroll, this next question will stay with you. What is your philosophy on taxes as it relates to our local hospital board?
It's amazing how Florida is a state income tax state. However, we pay and the hospital gets benefits from our property taxes. Now I'm doing real estate, and it's very interesting to see the correlation. It's great when everybody's property values go up, but our taxes go up too, and the hospital benefits from that, as it well should. My idea is to minimize the amount of tax, especially in a time like this when we're having difficulty with the average person meeting their financial needs. And heaven knows that your medical bills are really, really expensive. So if we can guard that and make the best use at all possible for the amounts that we take from our income from the property taxes, I think it would be beneficial.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wood, the same question to you. What is your philosophy on taxes as it relates to our local hospital board?
Look, I understand no one wants to pay more taxes. I know I don't. As Dr. Carroll said, it's tough times for everyone. Inflation is through the roof. So I'd like to keep taxes low. I believe our local hospital plays a vital role in keeping our community both safe and healthy. We saw that during COVID when the hospital took care of us and provided us with hospital care and vaccinations. My philosophy since I joined the board in 2019 is that we need to provide our community with the best healthcare possible for the lowest amount of taxes. And in each year since I've joined the hospital, we've been able to lower the tax rate, and I'm committed to continue to that trend into the future. We were able to lower taxes, and we still provided great healthcare to our community. Care didn't suffer. We improved services. We added telemedicine. We upgraded surgical equipment. We remodeled patients' room. We cared for our community through COVID. We did all of that, and we're still able to lower taxes. But you have to be mindful of how budgets and things work at the hospital. So my role as a board member is a protector of the taxpayer's interest. So that's where I stand. I want to continue to lower taxes while still providing quality health care to our community.
Okay, thank you. And we will stick with you for the next question. Ms. Wood, what do you see happening in the future with healthcare locally?
So as I said, my focus is on providing the best healthcare services for our taxpayers as possible. I'm not on the board to promote advances in medicine, build monuments, or cut ribbons. That's not what I'm about. I care about our community, and I want our community to have access to healthcare that they can trust, that's serviced by professionals and local professionals who are trained, accountable, and who want to serve our community and who want to be here. I believe we should continue to recruit high-quality doctors to our area to ensure that we have great healthcare providers locally. I believe our healthcare should be convenient, it should be accessible and affordable to everyone here. And we've done that at our local hospital. And I'm committed to continuing to discuss healthcare needs with members of our community and to respond to those needs. So trustworthy, accessible, affordable, that's what our hospital currently provides healthcare. And I want to see us continue to meet those needs of our community into the future.
Thank you. And Dr. Carroll, the same question to you. What do you see happening in the future with healthcare locally?
Locally, I see a greater use of telemedicine. I think the pandemic showed us that, and I think that is an excellent way for us to put resources into and move ahead. Also, remember when I first came here almost 15 years ago, we had a meeting down at the Clewiston Inn, and we had fantastic plans on what renovations and what new buildings, new ER and surgery, and many things that came about. Out of all that planning, which I thought was way ahead of its time, we have a new ER, we have a new surgery that's not, in my opinion, adequately used, but we also could have a newer facility. You know, I think the building was built in the mid-50s, 55 to 58, somewhere in there. Our plans had included a new 25-bed critical access wing, and that has sort of gone by the wayside. We have a new PT building, which is great. It came in over budget, but we have a beautiful facility. We have an addition to Building A, which is nice, but it's added on to a building built in the 60s. So I'm looking forward to a better use of funds for a better facility for our community that can be used and should be used much more often than it is at present time.
Okay. Thank you for that. And our final question, we will start with you, Dr. Carroll. How would you as a board member work within the community to learn what additional services might need to be provided in our area?
You know, I think, again, number one is recruiting the correct people who will live in our community and who will be a part of our community and help direct the hospital in the future. I know Dr. Barry Davis, who I helped recruit here as a new general surgeon, and also Dr. Movitt do an excellent job for our hospital. But you know, we don't adequately use them. There are so many endoscopic procedures, so many laparoscopic and thoracoscopic procedures that could be done here if our community would get to know the physicians by their living here in this community with us. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And same question to you, Ms. Wood. How would you as a board member work within the community to learn what additional services might need to be provided in our area?
Thanks, Hillary. I'm committed to provide the best healthcare services to our taxpayers as possible for the lowest amount of money. To do that, I've talked to people in our community and asked them, what do you think of the hospital and what services do you need? I'll continue to seek that input from the taxpayers about what their needs are, and I'll share what I find out with hospital management. I've had lots of conversations. We've had them in board meetings. We've had them with management about really what the needs of our community. It would be helpful to better understand the needs of our entire community. And I've shared that thought with RD, the hospital administrator. So information gathered by a survey of all of our taxpayers would be helpful in a number of ways. It would be a report card for our existing services, as well as help the hospital to understand what additional services our community would need. I've discussed that idea, and I think we're going to be incorporating that into a survey that the county health department is going to do. So to sum up, I'm happy to discuss our hospital with anyone. You can reach out to me directly. My email is woodelainem@yahoo.com or by cell phone. It's 863-599-9104. And I'd encourage you to participate in any surveys that you may receive about the hospital. Your opinion matters, and only by understanding what your needs are can we really make changes and bring those services back to you.
Okay. So that's all of the questions. Let me turn this alarm off before it goes off. That's all of the questions that we had on our end. Let me just check our Facebook really quickly. I see we do have a couple of viewers. So hi to you guys that are watching us. I don't see any questions that seem like things we haven't addressed. So that's good. But again, I encourage the two of you to go back and monitor that and watch those, if comments roll in that look like things, that you might want to address. to just kind of, I don't know, insert my 2 cents a little bit. I always like to give my opinion a little bit, you know me. I have called management at the hospital, RD to be specific, probably more than once. Honestly, mostly when I've had good experiences at the hospital, because I feel like, just being in a somewhat of a service industry, you know, people are always really quick to tell you when you've done something wrong or you've made a mistake or, you know, something like that. And I just sometimes feel as a whole, as people, we don't often enough tell one another when we've gotten it right. And I feel like that's really good feedback sometimes to give to our colleagues and people within the community that we work with. So as a family, we've had several wonderful experiences with our local healthcare system. I must say, wonderful experiences. And I always like to share those with RD or with Electa, with somebody that I know, you know, we'll go to those people and say, you know, like, hey, good job. We got some feedback from you know, on your department or however that wording goes. Because I think that's important. So I think that we as a community are lucky to have Hendry Regional as a whole here in our community. So, anyway, just my 2 cents. I think we're lucky to have them. And then they work so hard through the pandemic and even before the pandemic, but anywho. So we will take 2 minutes and let you guys sum up, speak directly to your voters and sum up, you know, why someone should vote for one over the other. And Dr. Carroll, we will have you go first.
Thank you. It's been enjoyable to sit here and take the time out to talk to you, Hillary, and also those who are watching us on Facebook. And I agree wholeheartedly with what you've said. Again, I think that if people think about it, I don't think there's ever been a doctor on the hospital board. Maybe it's a good time for a physician who has given his life to medicine and who's lived in this community to have the opportunity to be elected and serve on the hospital authority board. I'm looking forward to that. I wonder who drew up our District 4. It's really spread out. And from those in Port LaBelle and those in Montura and all the rest of them in District 4, get out and vote. It's really important that you take things like this in your own hands. You go out and vote. And remember, a doctor, imagine that, for Hospital Authority Board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carroll. And Ms. Wood, 2 minutes.
Thanks, Hillary, and thanks for sharing your comments. I received a lot of comments like that from voters as I've been out and talking to people as well. So thanks for sharing that. The reason I'm running, I believe my knowledge and background in finance has been beneficial to the hospital over the 4 years I've served there. During my service, I've studied the numbers, as I said, I've raised questions, I've made suggestions, I've held those in management accountable, and I've done that along with my fellow board members. As a result, we've been able to lower your taxes over that period of time while improving the facilities, expanding the Forbes family care, the new hospital equipment, remodeling rooms, adding telemedicine, which I think is very important and allows us to keep more patients at the hospital. And of course, more patients at the hospital means more revenue, which helps us further lower our taxes without the need of transferring people out. And we've done all that during a global pandemic. So what I would promise our voters, I would encourage them to get out and vote, just the same as Dr. Carroll has said. But what I'll do for you is I'll look out for our community's interest at the hospital. I'll make sure that the hospital is providing you with the best health care possible. I'll listen to your comments, your questions, your concerns, and I'll take action on them. And I'll do all of that while keeping your taxes as low as possible.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for taking the time to join us. And again, everyone watching on Facebook or everyone that's going to come along and watch a little later, early voting starts on August the 8th and election day is August the 23rd. So be sure to get out and vote. If there's anything that the chamber can do, if you're looking for any kind of resource that you need or questions you have about where you should be voting, whatever, give us a call. We'll get you in touch with the right people to get that information that you're looking for. And good luck to both of you. And we look forward to watching these results come in the evening of August the 23rd, right? Isn't that correct?
Right.
August 23rd. Yeah. So thank you again. Thank you again for joining us. And we will see you guys out in the community probably sometime tomorrow or over the weekend. So have a great afternoon, y'all.
All right. Thanks, Hillary.
You're very welcome. Bye, you all.
Bye-bye.